Night falls over the western coast of Sumatra, where the Indian Ocean laps against the shores of Bengkulu. This is a traditional Indonesian stilt house. Inside one of these high-roofed wooden homes, an older woman named Datu sits quietly, working on a beautiful piece of local fabric. Beside her, a young girl named Sari is tucked securely into bed. It is time for their nightly routine. Sari yawns and asks her grandmother a question she's been holding on to all day. Why is the sprawling park in the center of their city named after a princess called Gading Cempaka? Datu puts down her sewing and smiles. She explains that the places we walk past every day often hold the memories of those who lived long before us. And with that, she begins a story from the ancient past. Centuries ago, a small realm known as the Kingdom of Sungai Serut thrived in this very region. It was home to Princess Gading Cempaka, a royal who preferred the muddy fields of her citizens to the quiet comforts of her palace. She spent her days walking directly among the people. If farmers struggled with their crops, she was out in the dirt helping them plant seeds. If neighbors argued, she listened carefully to both sides and helped them find a fair compromise. Suitors traveled from miles around to offer their hands in marriage, but she politely turned them all away. She felt her true duty was to serve her community, and she wanted nothing to distract her from that daily work. By prioritizing the daily struggles of her citizens over royal privileges, she earned their deep, unshakable loyalty. But that exact devotion was about to put the entire kingdom in jeopardy. Across the sea ruled a mighty prince. He commanded a massive empire and a vast, well-armed military. Hearing of the princess, he arrived in Sungai Serut with a booming voice and grand demands. He insisted that Princess Gading Cempaka become his bride. Staying true to her principles, she offered him her deepest respect, but firmly declined, explaining her lifelong vow to remain focused on her people. The prince did not take the rejection well. Accustomed to getting whatever he wanted without question, he viewed her refusal as an intolerable insult to his authority and pride. In a fit of rage, he delivered an ultimatum. If she would not marry him, he would return with his full armada and reduce the tiny kingdom of Sungai Serut to ash. The loyalty the princess swore to her citizens inadvertently painted a target on their backs. Her desire to protect them was now the exact reason they faced annihilation. Panic swept the local villages. Guards numbered in the dozens, invading forces in the thousands. Battle meant a complete slaughter. Princess Gading Cempaka realized that her presence in the capital guaranteed destruction. As long as the prince had a prize to capture, her people would bleed for it. So she made a quiet decision. To strip the prince of his reason for war, she would have to disappear completely. Under the cover of night, the princess and her younger sister slipped out of the heavy castle gates. They left the safety of the stone walls behind and walked deep into the dark, untamed jungle. When the sun rose and the invading army arrived, the king delivered the news. His daughter was gone, vanished into the wild. Realizing his goal was now impossible, the frustrated prince ordered his troops to turn around and sail home. Sungai Serut remained standing. The citizens were spared not by superior tactics or sharper swords, but because their leader chose a life of isolation to keep them safe. True to her word, Princess Gading Cempaka never returned to the palace. The villagers searched the edges of the forest for weeks, but she was entirely gone. However, at the exact spot where she was last seen stepping into the shadows, something unusual began to emerge from the soil. This is a Cempaka flower. A magnificent tree sprouted seemingly overnight, producing these delicate, ivory-white petals that carried an incredibly sweet, calming fragrance. The people of Bengkulu revere this tree as the physical manifestation of the princess's love, seeing the white flowers as a living symbol of the sacrifice she made for Sungai Serut. Back in the quiet bedroom, Sari absorbs the end of the story. Her eyes are wide, touched by the sorrow of the princess leaving her home, but relieved that the kingdom survived. Datu gently strokes her granddaughter's hair. She explains that this is why the city park bears the princess's name, to remind everyone what true heroism looks like. Bravery doesn't always require charging into battle. Sometimes, courage is simply making a difficult, personal sacrifice to protect the people you care about. A great leader's worth is measured entirely by their willingness to put the well-being of others far above their own comfort. Comforted by the lesson, Sari finally closes her eyes, drifting into a peaceful sleep with the story of the brave royal fresh in her mind. The next morning, the coastal sun shines brightly over the stilt house. Sari and her grandmother head out into the crisp air, eager to put last night's lesson into practice. Together in the soft soil of their yard, they carefully plant a tiny Cempaka seedling. It is a quiet, shared promise to nurture the values of their ancestors. And as that tree grows, whenever a warm breeze carries the sweet scent of its flowers through Bengkulu, it serves as a gentle reminder to every new generation to be kind, to care for one another, and to always choose selfless courage.